What's up, guys? I am fresh out of the shower after getting home from my flight back from MagicCon Amsterdam with Z. I wanted to get on camera and make a video as soon as possible because I got some very upsetting content news that I think the day we left, sorry, it's been like 12 hours on the plane, um, where the deck review I posted yesterday about Soundwave, I made a criminally bad misreading, and I saw from all the comments um, that I just got a part of the card completely wrong, made the review practically worthless. Like it had some comedic value, but basically none of the conclusions had any worth because I misinterpreted how the commander worked. And so first and foremost, I wanted to say sorry to my man Gabe. Whatever you guys think of my online persona, I'm always trying to give you my best. So by the time this is posted, I will have reached out to them offering a refund. I am going to we're going to walk through it and talk about what should have been done differently now. I didn't watch the video back, quite frankly. I don't remember 90% of what I said in the video, or hadn't remembered 90% of what I said in the video because it was filmed many weeks ago and I was batch filming to get ready for this trip. So when we got off the plane, rushed home, took my phone out, watched the video back, and realized I was still right about 90% of what I said. What the fuck, guys? I'm not gonna be mean to you guys, but what the hell? I felt so bad. I felt so bad. I was like, "Oh my god, I wasted 20 minutes of this person's time." And now that I went back and I listened to everything that I said in the video, I was like, I stand by 95% of it. There's like one thing that's different that we're going to talk about now. But before we get into the misreading and what's different because of the misreading, I just want to say, if you're somebody who watched the previous video and you did feel, oh my god, this review is a fucking waste of time because of how wrong he gets the card, please, like, just never buy anything from me. Like, you're not going to be happy. I'm not going to be happy. It's it's just going to be bad. Whenever I'm doing these reviews, I'm almost always focusing heavy on play patterns, how to identify enjoyable play patterns, how to fix the play patterns that you currently don't find enjoyable, and like I said, almost everything I say about the play pattern of the Soundwave deck as it did exist and what I think it should change to, same advice. So I will provide the new reasoning with the accurate reading of the card. Let's get into what I did so terribly wrong, because I will own horribly bad misreading. It was pure luck and happenstance that it doesn't change any of my feelings about what should have happened with the decks. I will own illiterate dumbass. And that is why I'm still reaching out to offer them a refund, because if I do totally fucking misread your commander, I never want you to feel like I'm just taking your money and running. So the way I read Soundwave was, if I hit you with any number of 1/1s, I get to steal that many 1 CMC spells. When you deal combat damage with one or more creature tokens, that one or more is the part that I got wrong. You exile an instant or sorcery with mana value equal to the damage dealt. So my first concern with this deck was, oh my god, that's so restrictive. If we're making tokens with Bitter Blossom, with Adeline, we're only stealing 1 CMC stuff. It's so hard to get to the juicy stuff. We're never stealing any big, any big crazy spell. And that's wrong. You can do that. There can be thefty in numbers with how Soundwave actually works. If I hit you with 3/1/1s, it's going to count, or one player with 3/1/1s, it's going to count all 3 of the damage. I'll get to steal a 3 CMC spell. So the commander is more flexible than I first believed. Everything else stands, guys. Like this, so we still have, and this is going to be kind of a weird video because I'm kind of rehashing the concepts I already spoke about. So I'll link to the previous video in the description of this. But we're still going to have the friction of a problem we had with this deck was it's just random token stuff go, and we don't want it to feel like random token stuff go. So I still take issue with things like Adeline, with Ajani, with even Voice of Victory. Like, just because we can combine 5/1/1s to steal a 5 CMC spell, we are still going to have the deck fighting against itself if we lean really hard into, well, I would like to go as wide as possible. Because if we do all this, like, I'm going to go really wide stuff, we back ourselves into the corner of, we are inevitably going to win through Craterhoof or Diet Craterhoof type effects. And this seems like the type of thing that we are not interested in doing. And so I still stand by what you should absolutely be doing is evasive creature tokens. If the token it makes is not evasive, I'm like out on the card for this deck. So I'm still out on Adeline. I'm still out on the Johnny. I'm still out on like I'm higher on Anointed Procession. This is probably the individual card I underrated the most because of how I misread it. Like now doubling the tokens does have a lot of value. So depending on the tables you play at, you may still be able to get away with this. Making 2 tokens every upkeep with Bitter Bloom gives you way more flexibility than I gave it credit for. But we still only want to be doubling evasive stuff. Like Bitter Bloom's great, Bitter Blossom's great. Talrand is great. You know, the stuff that has flying, I'm like so in on. I think even don't love that. Don't love that for a minute. But I would even be in on Thopters, but the only thing I would be in on is this is going to be a token. I can be very confident it's going to swing through and do damage, and I can be confident it's going to get some type of step. So let's talk about the 10% retraction. The thing I would like to officially retract, the wrongest part, is I said they wanted to be all in on ways to modify one creature because that was based off me reading the cards like I need one token to be really big. I still think you should be in on many of them. I still think being in on something like Thane the Broker, like Rena the Demagogue, I think all of these things could be very useful to you if for no other reason than like if I'm a token deck and I want to deal 3 damage to somebody, me personally, I would rather modulate one of my 1/1s to be a 3/3 and leave 2 1/1s behind to block. It's a relatively like nothing situation. I know some of us get away in Commander games where crackbacks are not a thing. That like I was just at Magic on Amsterdam playing a ton of Commander, having like so many people just won't even force you to chump block. It's so fucking strange. I should just make a video talking about all the like Commander assumptions that get updated when I go to the con. Um, but even though the math would work out equivalently in either situation of, let's say I have 3 power across 3 creatures or 3 power across 2 creatures, I would still rather be modulating with good modulators. I think I would be lower on Luminarch Aspirant. This one is one I recommended the first time around. I think this starts to feel like pretty bad if we don't get it pretty early. But I would still care about power toughness modulation. I would still be way more in on mill. We really want to fill up the graveyard. And I would even be angling towards mill as potentially your primary win con or something that is supported by mill as your primary win con. We talked about these mill payoffs the first time around. Like Rise of the Dark Realms can be your win con if you get a really robust mill strategy, and then you just use Soundwave as like my commander is going to turn these shitty little chump blocker tokens into a control deck. Because I'm going to steal your Swords to Plowshares. I'm going to steal your Stroke of Midnight. I'm going to steal your... We can't steal Grasp of Fate, which is my favorite spell ever. But any instant and sorcery that's going to provide card advantage, going to provide removal, we can take those. And so I would still be your greediest in my rampant card draw section, which sounds really irresponsible, and it is, but I think it's going to be way more fucking fun. It's gonna be way more fucking fun. Anytime you get to go like, ah man, I didn't get any card draw, but Tyler, I can't help but notice you own a copy of Stock Up. Like, that's the play pattern that I think feels like we are honoring Soundwave. What I really disliked about the token forward plan the first time around is it feels like Soundwave's just kind of there. Maybe we get some value out of him eventually, but we're not doing a ton to guarantee that we're getting value out of him. We're not doing a ton to make that value really compelling, and it's just kind of a lot of like, here's all my stuff. Yeah. So I'm sorry I got the card wrong. I'm always going to do my best. If I get your card wrong or your deck wrong, never hesitate to reach out for a refund. But frankly, on this one, the review's the same. The rationale for why we want to be doing so much more mill just changes to like, okay, now we can steal a 7 CMC spell by having 7 1/1s off of Bitter Blossom. How are we getting a 7 CMC instant and sorcery in the graveyard? How many people in your pod are running 7 CMC instants and sorceries? If you're playing against me with this deck, you fucking got my number, dog. But like all weekend, if I was stealing big instants and sorceries out of my opponent's graveyards, those are not a naturally occurring resource. We got to do a lot to get them there, and now we're more able to do that. We're more able to do the big theft, which I really, really like. But I would still be down on Adelina Johnny. Black Market has a lot of other value. Dread Horde, this is just not evasive at all. Elspeth again has so many things you can do. We can kind of grandfather her in. I really don't like mechanized production. Feels a little bit like a desperation move. Unless there's like a crazy good artifact that I'm missing. If there is, keep it in. Um, Voice of Victory, if you're really scared of people casting spells in your turn, okay. I don't think we like need to be. And I don't love these mobilized tokens. I don't love um just kind of throwing a bunch of random 1/1s into the mix and hoping for the best. I think we want to be as surgical as possible and use card slots to make sure that we're always going to have something beneficial to steal. So whether you turn these into like Archaeomancers to get Fractured Sanity back, to get Maddening Cacophony back, whether you turn them into like Snapcaster Mages, whether you turn them into other things that could make evasive 1/1s, whether you turn them into um, even things like I would not recommend copy enchantment because you only have 15, and so there is a chance you just hit like copy enchantment and then don't hit anything else. But even you just went like, oh fuck it, I'll play like a clone effect, and then if I have Bitterbloom Bearer on the field, or if I have not Talran, we really only have Bitterbloom Bearer for the creature based thing. So you may want to do like clone uh any non-land permanent, the artifact or creature, artifact or enchantment. Yeah, Clever Impersonator might be worth your time, but this is really up to individual taste. What I would be trying to do is better support my evasive token makers. If you don't want to try to clone them, um, you can just look for other things that make evasive tokens. And then I would be irresponsible when it came to your hyper efficient interaction. I would see if we could get away with stealing that from other people, and then we can have a lot of mill so we can always have a full graveyard, and we can hopefully always have one or two evasive creature tokens that can go get the thing we want. And then I think that begins to feel like a Soundwave deck, right? I'm playing the brown note. I'm making you shit yourself. I'm making I'm making your deck shit yourself until you die. That's cute to me. That's great. That's what I think you should be doing, and is what I said in the